Let's piss some people off.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to I Inspires the podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm so glad you're here. And if you've been with me for a while now, you already know I don't sugarcoat growth. Lately, I've been in a season of pivoting in my content, my mindset, and my energy, everything that is currently around me. Honestly, in my whole rhythm, at one of those weekends where you just stop and ask yourself, okay, so now what's really working for me right now? And what do I have to change or shift? What's draining me? And where am I forcing something that doesn't even fit anymore? And that question did hit me hard because the truth is, I don't need to move faster. I just need to move smarter, slower, and more aligned. I've been juggling a lot. I've been doing a lot, a lot lately. I've been between podcasting, filming, creating, managing the brands I'm building, which I will name after, and showing up for my family. It's been nonstop. And somewhere in all of that, I realized I was pouring so much into everything that I hadn't stopped to refill myself. And that's something that we constantly do to ourselves. It's not that I wasn't living my message, I was just giving so much of it away in a way that I was not feeling happy. That I needed to reconnect with my own rhythm all over again. So, this past weekend, I totally unplugged myself. I didn't rush mornings, I didn't force anything. I just sat with myself and asked myself what actually feels good right now for me to be doing. And the answer that came up was it was quite simple. It was structure, simplicity, and presence. Why? Because I've been blessed to create so many things that I love, but I wasn't giving myself the peace after that to actually enjoy them. And I was chasing the noise, the daily noise, instead of following my own rhythm. So now I'm moving with intention as I should. My mornings are slow, my boundaries are firm, and my focus it's so clear. Um but let me be honest. Gotta be honest. There's something deeper that's been holding me back from fully embracing everything I'm stepping up into. And it was right in front of my face, and I was not even looking at it because it was hard for me to do that. And I think a lot of people from my generation might feel this way too. Um, I was raised to hustle, to grind, to value structure and security over creativity. I was taught that success meant going to school, getting a degree, and finding a good job. So for me, that path was business administration with a major in accounting, which I did and enjoyed for a while. And that was the definition of stability, a steady paycheck, a clear title, something people could easily understand when I talked about it. And even though I've always had a creative side, because I was always being pulled towards that old school mindset was deeply ingrained in my head. It was ingrained in me. So the idea that your worth comes from your work, that if you're not physically working, you're wasting your time. That's how I was raised. coming from being a 90s girl and growing, being grown up in the 80s. So later, I followed my heart into entrepreneurship, and my husband and I built a business together. We've been at it for over 7 years now, and that foundation gives me the freedom today to step into my creative world fully and completely. And that's all thanks to my husband. And I am so grateful because I have a partner who handles the day to day while I step into my purpose, which is creating, storytelling, building brands, connecting with people. But even with that freedom, I still had to face a big internal battle. It was there. I just didn't want to see it. Or maybe I don't know what it was. That was accepting that social media, it is work. It is actually work. But it's because I come from that old school mindset that it's so hard for me to see it that way. Because for a long time, filming, editing, creating, it didn't feel like productivity to me. It felt like I was wasting time. And that came from how I was, how I was raised. I was born in the 1980s, so I grew up side by side with the rise of the internet. I watched the world shift from dial-up phones to Wi-Fi, from landlines to smartphones, from handwritten letters to content creation. So while I love this digital world we're in right now, that everything just runs by technology and social media, part of me had to rewire my nervous system to truly accept it for what it was, for what it really is, to see creativity as a real work. That was a big issue for me. So to see this podcasting, storytelling, filming as not just expression but true purpose. Because the truth is, this is where the world is right now. And for me to build a new kind of legacy, I had to stop thinking like I was wasting my time every time I was creating content, and start realizing this is the work. Everything I've been doing has been the work. I've been working all along. The creativity, the conversations, the messages, this is what I'm meant to do. And it took me a long time to embrace that, to stop feeling guilty for not clocking in. That's what you usually do when you work for somebody else. As I don't know, in the corporate world, for example, and start celebrating that I get to create impact through art, through voice and truth. And on top of that, I had to unlearn another lie, which was extremely ingrained in my brain, that your worth is tied to how early you wake up. That's another lie. There's this false idea that's been drilled into our heads that if you're not up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, that you're lazy. And that's not true. Or that you don't have work ethic. And honestly, I had to really step away from that mindset because I realized that my creativity doesn't live in that timeline. I am not a 5 a.m. person. I am actually a night owl. My creativity wakes up when the whole world gets quiet. And also, my best ideas come when the lights are low, the house is calm, and my mind finally feels free. And for so long, I felt wrong for doing that. And like I wasn't disciplined enough because my schedule was so different. Like I needed to change myself to fit society's version of productivity, because that's what people usually say. The early bird gets the worm. But that's now how my brain operates. And once I remembered that this is how my energy works, everything started to click. Because the truth is, I'm always creating, I'm always building, I'm always working. Once I embrace that everything I do is really work, I realize that. It's just that it looks different. I had to stop comparing my rhythm to everyone else's and realize that just because someone thrives at sunrise, which that is my husband, it doesn't mean that I have to, because my creativity works different. People work night shift, morning shift, afternoon shifts, and I've created my own, and I'm so happy I've done it for my own comfort and that I feel aligned with the timeline that I chose. I built a schedule that fits me, not society. And the only schedule I honor outside of that is my husband's schedule, because when he's home, I pause everything to be present with him because that's non negotiable. But once he goes back to sleep, I'm right back into my creative zone. I keep on working because that's how my brain works. And that's that acceptance, that permission to operate in my own rhythm has been one of the most freeing things I've ever done for myself. Sitting with myself and having grace with myself, allowing myself grace, because slowing down doesn't mean I'm falling behind. It means I'm finally catching up to who I am and with myself. So when you start creating from peace instead of pressure, everything totally changes. Everything in your life totally changes. You stop chasing results and you start attracting what's meant for you. This shift for me isn't just emotional, it's very spiritual. When my energy is right, everything else falls into place. The right ideas, the right people, the right timing, it all starts flowing how I like it. So there was a time when I thought being busy meant I was doing great. But being busy doesn't always mean being fulfilled. That's what I'm actually looking for. It just means your time is full and you have no time for anybody else or anything else. Being fulfilled is when your soul feels full. And that's where I'm trying to live right now. I had to be real with myself. I was creating out of obligation, setting false expectations, like getting up in the morning, 7 a.m. I don't work like that. I don't get inspired. My inspiration doesn't come at that time. I was trying to control every outcome instead of trusting my flow and the way that my creativity operates. But that creative fire never left me, which is extremely important. I was just buried under too much noise. And now that I have made space for peace within myself, the fire is burning again. And I just love it. But when your energy is aligned, your creativity flows. Your confidence feels different. People can feel your truth without you having to explain a single thing. This past weekend made me reflect on how much has changed my growth. For example, how much I've changed in my growth, in my marriage, my projects, my voice, my power. And I realized something I've learned over and over again. Every major shift starts with honesty. Not a breakdown, just honesty. That moment where you stop saying, I'm fine. But actually, you're not. You're just surviving. And start saying, I need to realign. Stop saying you're fine when you know that you have to pivot, when you know you have to shift. I was still carrying old pressure that need to prove myself, to constantly show how strong I am throughout everything. But when you're truly walking in purpose, you don't chase, you attract. You don't need validation. You move with certainty. So I wrote something down for myself the other night while I was thinking about all this and how I was going to pivot. I don't chase, I align, I attract, I grow through presence. That means me being present. And that's exactly the energy I'm bringing into this next chapter, which I'm so excited for. If you're listening right now, I want you to know something. You're allowed to pivot. You're allowed to start over with new boundaries. You're allowed to rebuild your rhythm at any age. It doesn't matter how old are you. You don't owe consistency to the version of you that was just surviving. To that version of you that is only on survival mode, you don't owe consistency to that person. You owe honesty to the version of you that's ready to live and to level up. Your healing might look like slowing down. Your success might look like you're doing less because you're going to feel like that, but doing it with purpose. And your peace might look like saying no to people who drain you. And that's okay. That's not quitting, that's evolving. Because real strength isn't about carrying everything on your shoulders on your own. Sometimes it's about putting things down and trusting that what's meant for you won't need to be chased. So this new chapter, I'm calling it the rebuild era. The era where I move in truth, alignment, and feminine power, where I create from peace, not pressure, and where everything I do comes from authenticity. To everyone who's been rocking with me since day one, thank you for growing with me through every single season and every version of me. And to anyone new, welcome to the realest chapter yet. I am so ready to keep on going. And also remember, you're allowed to pause. You're allowed to realign. You're allowed to reinvent yourself as many times as you want, because you are unfiltered, you are unapologetic, and you are unstoppable. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next one. Love you guys.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.